Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome. So glad to have you here. Guys, we've had so many great entrepreneurs, investors, amazing people sharing their story. And what we wanted to do after 230 plus episodes is we wanted to bring back some of the best pieces of advice in short clips to create a power-packed podcast where you can gain a ton of knowledge in a short amount of time. So what we've done here is we've created a greatest of episode, and we really hope that you enjoy our little picking from the best things that we've heard in the Construct Your Life podcast. So enjoy.
And for anybody that's sitting on the fence or anybody that is thinking about getting in the game, what's your advice to anybody listening to this?
Honestly, it just start small, be focused, get that first deal out of the way, because that's like the hardest part of, being involved in real estate. And then from there, you just got to be consistent and focused.
I would say even before that, just get out there and start making offers. Honestly, the biggest thing that people don't really understand is when you're trying to get into real estate, you have to understand the game and you have to actually start making offers on properties to see if you can get it. You can't sit at home and analyze deals. You have to actually go out there. I know a lot of people that want to get into real estate, but they haven't even talked to a real estate agent yet to maybe put a couple of offers in. So I would say just take that step to put an offer in, even if though it's a low ball offer. Go and get rid of that first offer feeling, basically.
And don't hang around us because we're gonna make you buy property. Because I gotta tell you this story, y'all are gonna love this. Yeah. So my boy Ruben, who runs a marketing agency and just bought his first Airbnb. He's an agent, investor. Mm-hmm. He starts a clubhouse room like 3 days ago, and I was just like saw him in there, and I was like, I'll pop in, like I was like working out or something. We get to talking about life. I was just asking him about like, hey, what are you doing? My boy saw me from LA. So my boy is an off-market specialist who does $60 to $160 million off-market apartment deals. His first deal as a licensed agent was $60 million. Wow. And so he was on the beach in California. So he pops on, we get to talk about life. Well, this kid rolls in there. Didn't even know what he was like. He just rolls in there, 26 years old, engineer out of Texas. Yeah. 2.5 years he's been analyzing real estate deals. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So for an hour and a half, he's got me, my boy who's doing $100 million deals, and Ruben giving him advice.
Yeah.
And I like lit it at the end. I was like, I got all charged up and I was like, fucking buy real estate. I was like, stop being I was like, you make 80 grand a year. You got an 800 credit score. I'm like, let's fucking go. I was fucking going crazy. Right. It's like my 30th call of the day.
Yeah.
So funny enough, from Clubhouse the day before, he met my buddy Andreas, right, who works for Diego down here. Yeah. And so, long story short, I get a fucking DM last night. This son of a bitch put an offer in on a house last night. Wait for it. He said the lender said my credit's so good, my goal in a month is to buy a second house.
Wow, amazing.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, he clicking on that button.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know, man. You just got to keep pushing forward.
People just need like a boost of confidence. Maybe they're not surrounded by the right people around them. Like we weren't in the beginning. Everybody around us did not do real estate. Mm-hmm. And, when you're surrounded by people like that, your goals are probably not going to be higher. Mm-hmm. So the moment we came to Nashville and we just started surrounding ourselves with only real estate people, that moment we're like, wow. I mean, we would see people getting deals and it was like a good jealousy going on. Like, I need to do that. Like, I need to do more. I'm not doing enough. Mm-hmm. So when you're surrounded by the right people, for sure.
And something I'm glad that this is the reason I have the podcast, because I want to ask you, somebody farther along in business and somebody that I respect, opportunities are coming right now that are things that I've wanted for a long time. Are projects that I've wanted to take on. But as I don't jump at everything and I stand back and look at things, I'm very cognizant of how
taking on that project or that new situation is going to shift my lifestyle, which I've cultivated and created over painless months to make sure that I'm 100% content in what I do if I don't want to work Fridays. What would you say to somebody that for the first time in a long time is having those opportunities being laid at their feet? You know, how do you walk away from money like that, you know, even though you have to, like, I don't know, create abundance in your mind and say, like, there's more out there. If it doesn't,
well, you know, it's funny because I just had a conversation with a really good friend of mine and a business partner, somebody that you have talked to recently. And, you know, I said, hey, Bruce, you know, I've got my YouTube channel and it's going really well and it's growing faster than I thought. People reaching out to me, you know, for coaching and for mentoring. It's like, hey, that's great. So where he is right now, he's young, you know, he's under 30 years old. And when somebody is offering to give you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to coach or mentor them, you're right. It's like, whoa. What I try to do for him is say, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but please don't be blinded by the money. Cause I've been down that road. You know, you take things on, you're like, oh my God, somebody's going to give me $20,000 in, you know, one check. Now I'm going to work for them for a year maybe, but still I get it all at once. And it's hard to say no to that, especially, you know, somebody like me that came out of retail, grew up poor, you know, that's hard to say no to, but you start to learn that your time is exceptionally valuable. And even if you know, amortize out that $20,000 and let's say it averages out to $500 an hour, you know, that's $1 million if you were to make that on a full-time job. How do you say no to that? Well, it's taken up so much of my time and I love helping people, but it's keeping me from other things that truly fulfill me. I love to help people. I love to teach. But when I have to teach because I have to teach, it's a different thing, right? I want flexibility. I want freedom. And when I'm beholden to others, even though it's $20,000, maybe even $40,000, you know, that comes with a lot of obligation. And again, it's not that he shouldn't do it, but I try to help him see that, look, there are bigger things out there for you. Your personality is such that I think it would serve you better to do other things. You've got ways to, you know, make $100,000 an hour with what you're doing. So just try to give people perspective. And when people start to reach out like that to you, when you start to grow a name, a personal brand, and a presence in your industry, a lot of it boils down to ego. Oh my God, look at this. People, I matter. And somebody's willing to give me $20,000. Of course, the ego says, yeah, got to take that. That's an affirmation that, hey, I made it. Try it. You know, maybe it's good for you. Maybe it's not good for you, but go into it with an open mind. Keep an open mind throughout this and don't just be doing it because, oh, that $20,000 is nice, but I hate doing it. But that $20,000, but I hate, walk away if you hate it.
It's wild because it's amazing to me how many times I bring people on that I don't know too well on this podcast and we align. So I was always the lone wolf. Like I was the number one sales guy. And as I've got older, dude, I love teaching. And I never thought I would be that guy. And, you know, partner with my wholesale business partner, he's a young kid. And even he's like, I just love teaching people. And it's like, cause like, it's almost like you're strong enough to like get through this, because what I've learned about commercial, this is when I first got in the business, man, you have to be patient. I mean, these deals take forever, and you're young and you're hungry. And I know commercial agents that just start out that maybe wait a year and a half for the first deal. And so what were you telling yourself when you're young, you're hungry, and you want to shake the world, and these deals just move at a snail's pace?
It's always been, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a very cyclical business. Like I'm not too concerned about the crap that, you know, the economy is going through right now, because I've been prepared, you know? And so having that mentality has been huge. Surrounding myself with quality mentors who care about me has been a game changer for me. Always finding ways to get educated. Even right now, I'm actually reading a significant amount of books, and I'm taking a new course about capital raising, an online course. So I try to chip away at that every day. So just always, you know, we're always moving forward, you know, and pivoting every once in a while. Like right now, instead of, focusing on raising capital, I'm not raising capital at this particular moment. So what I'm doing is I'm working on my business, not in my business. What I mean by that is podcasts and marketing, and we're scraping the entire marketing plan that we've been using and starting fresh with a new company that's going to take us to the next level. And there's always something to do or learn or connect or build relationships. And I can never claim to have nothing to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just got off 3 coaching calls, and it's you're not removing negativity. You're not removing obstacles. You're not removing the world shutting down. But what you're doing, I think, and what you're alluding to, is you're cultivating a mindset that can adapt to those situations and be surrounded by the right amount of people. And I think that's what you've done with the Fierce Network, and that's what you've done with your work and all your entrepreneur stuff. And isn't that really what it's all about at the end of the day? I mean, just creating a mindset that can take on anything, right? I mean, because I don't know if it's just you or your network, but there's people around me, regardless of what's happening out there, they're thriving right now. Maybe they're looking at it as they're able to spend more time with their families and be there for their kids and stuff like that. So it really is about the way you look at it, correct?
Correct. It is the way you look at it. It's even when things seem dark and dismal, how do you separate and kind of weed through what that is to pull out those dark things that might be able to serve you? So, for example, when I talk about adversity advantage, it comes from a space of me as an entrepreneur looking back at all the different things and occurrences that have happened within my short lifetime and thinking, well, what was this all for? Why? And really diving deep into, okay, all of this couldn't have happened for nothing. So how can I pull out something I can use? Now, I went from Salvation Army to PhD because that's what I knew as a way to get out. That's how I knew how to get out of the circle of poverty. That's how I knew how to get out of the circle of abuse. And then realizing and looking back through the different networks and people that I've met. So One Life Fully Lived introduced me to amazing humans who want to give back. And then that connected me, and that was a door to further networks and groups in order to challenge my mindset and also elevate what the possibilities were for me. So someone coming from a mindset and a perception, like you just said, it's about perception, where I've experienced sexual abuse from both men and women. I have experienced emotional and physical abuse all of my childhood, and then on to my adult life as well. And looking back and trying to figure out, okay, there has to be somewhere, not saying that the occurrences were right, but there has to be somewhere that what happened to me was happening for me, and how can I flip that script around it? So looking back and kind of mind mapping that from a removed perspective, I had a mother who struggled with mental illness, and the ups and the downs and the all arounds. And sometimes it was really, really good. And sometimes it was really, really bad. In dealing with the emotional sways of the ups and the downs, and then thinking back on that and thinking, rather than a mindset of why me, and I'm not saying that all the things that happened were right, but I'm saying, how can I pull some type of advantage from it? And what I've learned is that I'm extremely resourceful, And in that, I've been able to figure out like how to feed my little sister and how to make something out of nothing, how to be in a room where there's a lot of perhaps emotion or stress, and I'm the calmest one in the room that can think clearly. So those are advantages to a very chaotic upbringing. Same thing with living in low-income housing, being on food stamps, trying to escape the circle of poverty. You have to sit down and take a deep breath and think about, all right, I want a better life for my daughter. I want to be able to self-sustain. And how do I do that? Well, looking back on my life and figuring out how to be resourceful, figuring out how to, when you have nothing, you get pretty darn resourceful. And so I was able to escape the circle of poverty through resourcefulness and identifying that, what are the advantages? And through doing that, escaping the circle of poverty and the circle of abuse, I was able to add that to my resume of being resourceful as a business strategist, as building systems and turning businesses around. Because when you have nothing, you get pretty crafty at figuring out how to get something. And so therefore, I aligned my college education with and strategy with my own life skills to see the picture differently and build successful systems. So I've been able to turn nonprofits around who were losing money in order to make it so that it's their most profitable, make their most profitable years.
So you get the first couple of deals under contract. Talk about from a new investor or a new agent in those first, 8 months, 9 months, what are the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that they need to be focused on to stay in their lane and get success? What do you think are those rock bed foundational tasks they need to be doing?
I would say for sure to get a team. Firstly, that's so important. And I attribute a lot of that to the success of that I've had. We've touched a lot of it. Being with like-minded individuals, reaching out to agents that are killing it and asking them what they do and what they would change if they could. That's what I would do. I would listen to a podcast every day. I legit did this for like 2 months. Every day I'd listen to Real Estate Rockstars with Aaron Amichistegi. Every agent that was on it, I would send them a text and get on a call with them and ask them what they recommend I do. Mm-hmm. I did that for like 2 months and I met a lot of great people and got great advice. Mm-hmm. So get advice from the best, join a team, and then ask your friends. It's like, dude, what do you think I am great at? Ask 5 really, really good friends, write those top 3 things down, and you're going to see a common denominator. When you see that common denominator, it's like, hey, maybe you're an analytical person or something. Okay, start focusing a lot on the analytical people and maybe create spreadsheets or something that adds value to those people to where they'll start going with you as a realtor. So focus on your strengths and ask friends, because you might not really see what you're great at, but your friends.
Guys, we just wanted to make this episode to thank each and every one of those amazing guests that we've had on that have come in to share their story and share their insights and their knowledge with everything that they brought to the podcast. And it's their stories and their gifts and their times that they're spending that create this amazing podcast that we have. And we thank you, listeners, for listening to each and every one of you. And if you haven't gone and gave us a review, drop a review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so we can continue to share this amazing message that you're trying to construct a life that is yours and yours alone. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.